I've been doing some thinking that through each stage we pass through life, there's always going to be a learning phase. And that's obvious, like we all know this. And I understand that you came here looking to develop a learning mindset, although I don't want you to get trapped in the learning phase where you're just constantly consuming content that's just productive, like what you're watching right now. Immersing yourself in that activity is when that mindset starts to develop. Progress starts after you have the information and put it to use. Acquiring information and doing nothing with it makes you no better than the person who didn't learn anything in the first place. Why would you learn your favorite recipe and not cook it? There's a better way to develop that mindset. That's by becoming a tinkerer, a tester, someone who's able to try different angles on a certain thing. Through personal shopping, cryptocurrency, and affiliate marketing, I've managed to get over that hump of being stuck in that learning phase to eventually go on to make $80 to $130 every single day. Spending about around 2 to 3 hours a day on those things. And it's not like a crazy amount or anything, but a year ago I decided that I was gonna take the majority of the money I make and put it towards building my brand, building something I actually care about. While creating this new thing that I want to bring to life, I've once again re-entered that learning phase again. So as a former learn something without applying what I've learned type of guy, hopefully my perspective on how I'm able to get through these phases and be comfortable enough to enter them again and again when necessary might help you out. If by the end of this video you haven't made the decision to do the things you've been actually putting off, then I haven't done my job, but also neither have you. Oh, and this would be a good time to mention that if you want more community stuff and more insights and ideas that work for me and might work for you, sign up for my mailing list in the first link in the description down below. And I want to be a little bit more specific about the learning phase I'm talking about, because I'm not talking about the very beginning, around 1 to 2 months in, when you're still going through that euphoria of having that idea and being super excited about it. But that super bearish stretch after you found that thing that you want to focus on that lasts for about anywhere from 1 to 5 years. This is where you see results that are slim and far between. Also because I'm currently in this stretch and I need this reminder. Now, of course, I can only share through my lens what has worked for me. So you should not watch this video and just do exactly what I say, but to take the time to study my approach and then find your own way to go about it. This video itself is simply me just exploring that concept in real time. And that's sort of the attitude I adopted and see others who have found their success in their own way adopt as well. To continue to do something until it works instead of expecting something to work perfectly by a certain time. When you've actually grown and become confident in something, you did it through trial and error, not just indulging yourself in painstaking research. And what this is going to require you is not to hesitate when it comes to taking imperfect first step. This search for the perfect solution is what's impeding your ability to take action. The learning phase you're in is masquerading as indecision and the fear to fail. Dr. K is a streamer I watch, and he's a psychiatrist now, but for a while this is something he also struggled with too, way before he was able to graduate from Harvard and start up his business, Healthy Gamer.
My third week of freshman year, before I failed any classes, when I am skipping all my classes for a week and playing Diablo, I know there's a problem. That's actually what was the vicious cycle. I could see my future slipping away from me one day at a time. And the thought of watching that future slip away one day at a time was so painful that I escaped the video games. And then 2 days had gone by, and now I've messed up twice. And that shame, I couldn't sit with. So I played another day of video games. And then 3 days had gone by. The shame increases, the need for video games increases. And every step I take, I get deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, and I'm going down a tunnel and I can see the light. Every step I take, the light is getting further and further away. And the further away the light gets, the more I can't handle it. You know, when I say that there's a part of you that actually knows, you're just resistant to it. Yeah. You fucking know. You know.
We don't know how to fail correctly to figure out what needs to be done. But you're not dumb if you're trying to do something you've never learned how to do in the first place. When were we ever taught to fail? Our sources learning as children came from an education system designed around perfection. Those associations of failure from the time you take your first test to the last. The emotional response of passing and failing is going on until your body learns that reaction. Thing is, learning most things well requires you to fail. That F that stains your transcript is a reminder not to fuck up. Even so, you're not screwed because there's no grade point average for life. That's simply not how real life works. Real life is trial and error where no perfect solution exists. Intuitively, as children, we understand this. Being able to learn how to walk required us to fall.
I wanted to save Gotham. I failed.
Why do we fought?
so that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
If you want to develop a learning mindset, it's going to require you reframing what failure means to you and decide whether it's going to be an opportunity to learn from your mistakes or if it defines the direction of your path. By taking time to self-reflect, living outside of here. Outside of here is the spot I was talking about, the combination of learning and testing, the building phase. The thing about this building phase is that it's embarrassing to go through. Like seriously, look at my videos. I make tons of mistakes constantly and I still have trouble being myself on the camera. I sort of just accepted my first 100 videos aren't even gonna be that good. But to get to that point, it's gonna require me to actually make those videos. The trick is not to trap yourself by the paradox of thinking the perfect decision exists. Move to learn from your errors despite that internal agitation you feel inside. Figure out your own pace of actions that can recondition your body's response to this fear. A year ago, I set a small goal to write once a month, and now it's something I do every day. It takes time to unlearn this fear. And on top of that, through growing up in a family dynamic where comparison is constant, it's taken me so much to learn that you're right where you need to be. As simple as this is, I just can't seem to understand why that is true. But as I'm exploring this concept through this video, I'm realizing that it's because you're not supposed to be anywhere. The choice of what to do with your life instead of it being indebted and assigned to what's expected of you. Other than feeling embarrassed for doing so, is there really any other consequences for continuing to improve your situation even when the results are hard to see? As dumb as it sounds, I really do think that people make fun of us for trying when they don't think that we're capable. And they probably will. Look at that idiot, actually putting in effort. What if... Despicable. Isn't that a small price to pay to move yourself from an unfavorable situation or feeling? Over time, as you continue to move forward and move closer to what you set out to accomplish, those opinions will become ghosts of your past. Most of the consequences don't come from the decisions we make. We often don't become paralyzed by our decisions. What paralyzes us is indecision. By not being able to make a choice, we write our fate in stone. I really have to think about this because if we are right where we need to be, why would it be necessary for us to even make a decision in the first place? Couldn't we just avoid all the pain and embarrassment of failing by just not doing anything? It's because everything around us continues to move, whether we decide to or not. In nature, everything in the universe is in a continuous state of change. We just forget that we're moving through space. Indecision isn't staying where you need to be. What it is actually making the choice to stay where you are. As each of us have our own unique aspirations, our starting point from where we're going to be moving is going to be different, especially relative to each other. We often compare ourselves without understanding on why our brain has the reason to think in that way. We come up with all these reasons for not being at a certain place and resent others for being able to reach it instead of us. This is how humans are. We question all of our beliefs except for the ones we really believe in and those we never even think to question. It's the beliefs that we don't question that prevent us from learning new things. Developing a mindset built for learning requires us to use our excuses as well as our failures as a trail to follow to answer why we can't seem to figure something out. If we can figure out a way to start from there, we can begin to find out what needs to be done and be willing to try until we get it. Because that's all we need to do. Try. That is simply enough. We don't like to admit it, but we're just as predictable as any other animal. We'll get targeted by an ad and think it was some crazy coincidence that it popped up the exact moment you're thinking about getting those New Balances. That ad being targeted at that exact time is just simply the result of your browsing, watching videos, the communities that you engage in, your mouth movements, where you seem to put most of your attention in. And over time, the algorithm was able to make a good guess based on the information on when would be a good time to show you that ad. It's not that the ad got shown to you precisely at the exact time that that thought popped up in your head. Although by gathering data on your activity, the algorithm was able to make an educated guess on when the best time might be. It was probably days or even weeks of the ad being put in that same place until that anomaly had occurred. One day it just so happened that that thought you had in your mind happened to be at that precise moment. The algorithm guessed based on the information it had. The algorithm spent time being bad enough long enough till it got good, learning from its mistakes. It wasn't the perfect decision that made that happen, but a collection of inaccurate mistakes. Even when I'm writing my scripts, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you how messy it is before I decide to post a video. Like, all this barely makes any sense. Half the stuff isn't even in this video. You make progress when you do the work, not based on how good the work is. That's how you build up enough data to self-reflect and improve. Your mind will develop accordingly. There's no need to feel embarrassed. Figure out what you know that you're 100% capable of doing at a certain frequency And with each attempt, take away something you can learn for the next attempt. As I keep making the decision to move, as someone who always wants to say the perfect thing, it's such a humbling experience to have my ego feel embarrassed every now and then. This video wasn't perfect, but I can figure out what I need to improve on. Because now I have the data. Without making the decision to make this, I wouldn't have anything new to learn from. If you hesitate on the decision and wait a year, it can still be the wrong choice. But if you make a decision right now, even if it's the wrong one, you'll be that much closer to making the right one. That much closer to be living exactly the life you want now. Make the embarrassing decision and learn from it, rather than not making one at all and learn nothing. You're not expected to be perfect, but you do have to try. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. That's the end of the video. For more stuff, you can sign up for my mailing list in the first link in the description. I'm gonna be doing a lot of rebuilding and shit, a lot of exciting shit's going on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you, I don't know how to fucking end these, alright? See ya.